Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Another day, another show by BW Hotelier. This is our second show down south, our sixth episode overall. And hand on heart, this is perhaps my most favorite topic. All topics are favorite, but this one sits above the others. Reduce, reuse, recycle is sustainability mantra or just a slogan? You will notice in this series, we have a focus show by region. We've had two for the North, we've had two for the West. We're just completing the second show of the South before we head off to the East and then to the Central region. After that, we'll come back to the North, West, South, and this time we do a very special one, a special beamer on the Northeast. We will showcase 120 of the finest general managers of the country, led by some of the finest moderators, again from the industry, their area directors, their regional heads, their cluster managers, and so on and so forth. Be there, give us your time. We will bring you very, very good content. That's a promise. For any queries or clarifications that you may have of us, please write to us at the BW Hotelier at businessworld.in. Let me repeat, at the BW Hotelier at businessworld.in. We'd be happy to revert to you. Getting back to focus on the show, like I said, we have the finest moderators and the finest speakers. Let me start with the 7 luminaries here. First, with the first speaker, Manus Krishnamurti. Who doesn't know Manus? Manus is the general manager of the ITC Windsor, Bangalore. I wouldn't call it Bengaluru. Find it hard to say that. Hi, Manus. All right. I have Sandeep Joshi over here. He's the cluster general manager for Western India, Radisson Hotel Group, South Asia. And he's also the general manager for the Radisson Blue Plaza at the Banjara Hills in Hyderabad. So sitting in Hyderabad, he controls the West. Tarun Seth is the general manager, Hyatt Regency, Chennai. Hi, Tarun. Next is Sunaina, Sharma, Manerker, Delhi girl, now based and anchored in Mysore. She's been there a bit. She's the general manager of the Grand Mercure in Mysore. We have Neha Chhabra. She's the general manager, Courtyard by Marriott, Bengaluru and Hebbal. And the interesting part is we have a couple here. Next, I go to somebody who has been all over. Ian is the general manager, Taj Krishna, and he's also the area director for the IHCL in Hyderabad. And the Taj Santa Cruz, Mumbai also reports into Ian. Welcome to the show, Ian.
Thank you very much, Bhuvanesh, for having me over.
All right. Ian started his career with the iconic Taj Coromandel in Chennai. Taj Coromandel is an iconic asset in Chennai. Two of them together. Coromandel, where he is based out of, and the Connemara, which is not too far. He's worked in several key hotels and regions, including the Taj Exotica in Sri Lanka, the Taj Holiday Village in Goa. He was also instrumental in opening the IHCL's first luxury hotel next to the international airport in Bangalore, the Taj Bangalore. As the area director, he oversees Taj Krishna, Taj Deccan, Taj Banjara, Vivanta Begumpet, and the iconic Taj Falaknuma Palace. And of course, like I said, the Taj Santa Cruz. Ian is the chapter head for Hyderabad for the HAI, the Hotel Association of India. And he's also the president and board member of the Hyderabad Convention Visitors Bureau. And the president of the Hotel and Restaurant Association of the Telangana state. That's quite a portfolio, Ian. In these various capacities, he constantly engages with the government and the tourism industry at large and spearheads various initiatives while working in an advisory role for the improvement and development of this sector. Permit me now to hand over the show to Ian. Ian, your show.
Thank you very much, Bhuvanesh, for the very kind introduction. And a very good evening to everybody tuning in, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls. A warm welcome once again to this very important and probably, may I add, need of the hour webinar, which is basically predominantly on the environment. So at the outset, I would like to thank BW Hotelier and Bhuvanesh for bringing us all together on a common platform, and thank all the speakers as well for taking the time out. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our speakers in no really set order. I would first like to introduce Manus Krishnamurti, the General Manager of ITC Windsor, Bangalore. Manus heads the first hotel in the world to be LEED Zero Carbon certified, which is the ITC Windsor. ITC Hotels is the world's largest chain of hotels with the maximum number of LEED Platinum certified properties. Manus comes with over 20 years of experience across domestic and international luxury hotel brands. He was also part of the pre-opening teams at the iconic ITC Maratha and ITC Grand Central. Manus was recently awarded the Luxury General Manager of the Year 2020 at the Industry Awards. Congratulations once again, Manus. He also enjoys his leisure time indulging in literature, music, and the occasional round of golf. I must say, a very lucky hotelier to get that time too. Our second speaker is my colleague who sits here in Hyderabad, Sandeep Joshi, who's also the Cluster General Manager for Western India, the Radisson Hotel Group South Asia, and the General Manager of the Radisson Blue Plaza, Banjara Hills. A visionary business leader, a passionate individual, and a fitness freak, and I can vouch for that. I've seen him at close quarters, handling a large portfolio in Maharashtra, Goa, Gujarat, and Telangana. His 27 years of experience at luxury hotel chains include the Park Royal, Intercontinental Hotel Group, the Carlson Hotels Worldwide, ITC Hotel Group, and the Radisson Hotel Group. A very versatile hotelier, I must add. Opening and launching new hotels along with new F&B entities has become his passion and his pretty much his hallmark. He has functioned as a vertical manager in North India with ITC's Fortune Hotels brand as well. Sandeep has also supported NGOs working towards orphanages and human trafficking issues in Hyderabad. And his hotel has adopted the best practice of encouraging employment to such victims and differently abled persons. And what he's not added, which I will add, he's also the Vice President of the Telangana Hoteliers Association. So we will work very closely. Welcome, Sandeep.
Thank you so much, Ian. Thanks.
Tarun is General Manager of the Hyatt Regency in Chennai. Tarun Seth, a seasoned hotelier with a knack for attention to detail, having more than 20 years of experience. Tarun started his career with the Grand Hyatt in New Delhi and developed a keen passion for food and beverage operations. Having worked with the Taj Palace, New Delhi, Grand Hyatt, Mumbai, and Hyatt Regency, Delhi, before joining the Oberoi, his expertise led him to revolutionize food and beverage operation, predominantly strategically with a strategic intent that has added immense value to the guests' experiences. Prior to joining the Hyatt Regency in Chennai in April 2018, Tarun was the General Manager for the Trident in Kochi and the Oberoi motor vessel in Kerala. Welcome on board, Tarun, as well.
Thank you very much, Ian.
Ms. Sunaina Sharma Manerker, the General Manager of the Grand Mercure in Mysore, a seasoned hotelier again with over 21 years of hospitality operations and pre-opening experience as well, particularly in the luxury space. Sunaina is known for a focus and a belief in doing the right thing. Professional expertise includes brand experience, market-driven strategic planning, turnaround specialists with execution, financial management, team building, ownership management, and concept innovations, along with general administrative management. She brings with herself the skills to provide creative, innovative, enthusiastic, and forward-thinking leadership in a team environment, which is so critical these days. So welcome, Sunaina.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you so much.
Ms. Neha Chhabra, the General Manager for the Courtyard by Marriott in Bengaluru. My apologies, Bhuvanesh, Bangalore in Hebbal. In her 18 years of experience, Neha has an extensive body of work, having worked with both the Oberoi Group and Marriott International at their iconic properties across New Delhi, Kolkata, and Mumbai. Neha has been a pivotal team player with ideating and launching new food and beverage concepts, driving revenue, meeting guest expectations, etc. Her previous position was Director of Operations at the JW Marriott in Mumbai, Saha. Her leadership skills have been instrumental in driving top-line revenues, bottom line, guest experiences, quality in operations, learning and development, and not forgetting employee engagement. Neha has also won many awards and accolades, which includes the prestigious BW Hotelier Manager of the Year 2019. Congratulations once again, Neha, and a warm welcome.
Thank you, Ian.
I would next like to introduce Rajesh Radhakrishnan, who's the General Manager of The Park in Chennai. Over his illustrious career spanning 24 years, Rajesh has worked with leading groups like the Taj, the Crown Plaza Hotels, Le Méridien, and The Park Hotels. Prior to becoming General Manager at The Park in Chennai, he had a successful career as a celebrity chef and was recognized with multiple awards. Under his stewardship, the Park Chennai has positioned itself as a premier 5-star deluxe hotel in Chennai, with class-leading stay options, restaurants, nightlife venues, and spa facilities.
Thank you.
So once again, a warm welcome to all of you, and looking forward to this great, interesting session. So I hand it over back to you, Bhuvanesh.
So 14 minutes into the show, let me roll the dice to you. The first question, let me put across to you. The world has been ravaged with the after effects of our planet's abuse. To begin the session, is it a matter of survival or just a politically correct statement to discuss the subject of reduce, reuse, recycle? Is it just a sustainability mantra or just a slogan?
So thank you for the first question, Bhuvanesh. So I think while all of us are aware that currently hotels are coming out of a financial crunch, if I can use that word, probably caused by the pandemic, we cannot isolate our environmental friendly practices from our daily processes. And I'll tell you the reason why. Probably 10 to 15 years ago, when we spoke of sustainability, it was always looked upon as a costly affair, right? Very capital intensive in nature. The first thing, and a consultant said, change your equipment, you need to get energy friendly equipment, etc. But I think that's changed a lot in the last 5 to 7 to 10 years. Today, there are various companies that actually, and institutions, who are willing to partner with hotels and come up with solutions that drive sustainability. So that whole initial concern of capital expenditure is actually removed from the equation. So for example, you have solar panel companies who are willing to invest in capital, and then you pay them back on their savings. You have companies who are now trying to bring in AI, right? Ours was a typical brick and mortar industry, but now they're also bringing in AI into our HVAC systems, which is probably the largest guzzle of energy of electricity in a hotel. So when you bring in these kind of systems in, one, it helps you save on energy, power consumption, etc. But also it doesn't really hit your cost lines as well, because this is all on a payback methodology. And I think if we adopt that, then this whole 3 Rs will not be a mantra and just a nice plaque on the board, but it would actually take effect, which is actually happening in many of our hotels, especially at IHCL Bhuvanesh. I can tell you, we believe a lot in growth, and we are expanding tremendously, but we also believe in sustainable growth. So if you look at a lot of our data points that we have, which I'll probably share during the course of this discussion as well, you will see that there are a lot of things that has been reduced, recycled, and we look at things where we can also add to the entire environment in terms of being sustainable over a long period of time. So the short answer to your question is yes, the 3 R's. It cannot just be a mantra or a picture slogan on the wall. I think if you embed it in the processes, in the daily processes of a hotel, measure, monitor, I'm sure this will add value to a hotel, not only to the bottom line of a hotel, but it will also add value to all stakeholders of a hotel, be it your employees, your customers, your shareholders, and your owners, at large.
True, Ian. I pretty much agree with what you're saying. If this could be a part of our daily meeting, our daily agenda, right? When we walk around, we ask everybody and maybe do some surprise checks in rooms, in the kitchen, banquets, and the restaurants. Like I said, I was in a hotel very recently in Chandigarh. I won't name the hotel. I found the serving staff over there cleaning tables with tissue papers, right? Which is inexcusable. And they were sprinkling water out of plastic bottles. Plastic bottles are a crime. 1, 2, sprinkling expensive water to clean the tables and floors is worse. So yes, we have to move beyond slogans and a mantra. We need to bring it to our daily discourse. So
Right.
Ian, so now why don't you start driving the next questions?
So I think all of us are aware of atmospheric pollution, right? The various forms of atmospheric pollution. But wastage is a huge curse as well, right? Nobody wants to see any wastage anywhere. So are we as hoteliers and the rank and file below us, are they really aware of the damage that this is being done? And do our teams actually know which are those areas of concern? And is it constantly on their radar?
I think, Ian, what you started off answering to Bhuvanesh's question, I think I'll take it off from there, which is about daily processes, daily agendas. Are they aware about the wastage? If you ask about me now, maybe 70, 80%. If you would have asked this question a year back before the pandemic, maybe I would say 20, 30%. I think the pandemic has taught us to do our business in a very different way. As Bhuvanesh also said, about the hotel example, it is about the awareness now. While what damage it can do to the pollution going ahead, maybe 50% of them know, maybe 80% of them know to a different level, but they all understand wastage as a concept now. And our rank and file, as we spoke about rank and file, do they know what is the carbon footprint? Maybe not, but do they know that how much am I spending, or how much of garbage is going into from my hotel? Yes, they do. Because I think that's how we become sensitized over the time. And, while we keep saying reduce, reuse, recycle, we need to get very ground bottom with them. And something that I use a lot with the teams is first start refusing stuff which you think should not be used. Then rethink, can you sort of do this in a different way? And I'll come to hotels. We put 10, 12 amenities in a room. Bathroom, is it required? Can it be 3? Can it be 4? Can it be on call? I think that's the kind of knowledge that the team members are now getting into. And then lastly, recover. How to ensure that while wastage will be there, but how to ensure not to take it to that extent. While a lot of technology is there for water wastage and your waste converter, but at the ground level, what is it that I can do to recover? And I think if they understand that part, what we will come to is sustainable waste management, which I think is the need of the hour. And I can gladly speak for all that the pandemic has just taught us to do things differently.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Neha. Well said. And I think awareness, well, like you said, yes, that is an important aspect. And I think the more people are aware, the more they will be conscious of what they are doing. And I think the more they will not only contribute, but they will also support any other endeavor that hotels actually start institutionalizing. Thank you for that. If I can now ask Tarun, if I can bring you in. So hotels are normally seen as huge, big guzzlers of energy, right? So whether it's your HVAC system or diesel or hot water systems, etc., right? And also big generators of wastage, right? So that's how we are looked upon. So does your hotel have a plan to kind of fix these problems that we have, both in the probably short and in a long-term plan?
So thank you, Ian. I think, yes, hotels are looked upon as the highest consuming, assets for energy. But I think so is the image of hospitals or any real estate establishment like a shopping mall. We are in a kind of a business which requires us to consume certain amount of power and energy to be able to make sure we're able to cater to people who are coming in thousands possibly in our kind of buildings. I think we've become prudent over time. I think enough has been said about the pandemic and how things came to a grinding halt during 2020. And we all, I think, learned things which should remain with us throughout our careers and our life, in fact. We become prudent, I think, over a period of time. As you said, that HVAC is possibly about 60% of the contributor in terms of the energy for the hotel. And if I put it sequentially, it's your air conditioning and followed up by the kitchen. So these are the two biggest areas where energy consumption is the highest. Now, in piecemeal basis, if you look at it, it will not fit in. But overall, if you look at taking away from the similar thing what Neha said, it's in the daily processes. So if your engineering department is taking care of the AHUs, the VFDs are working fine, your exhaust and treated fresh air is balanced, you could really bring it down to a level which at how many hertz your AHU is supposed to operate in a particular day. Mind you, I would like to tell most of us as hoteliers have suffered with this minimum number of people allowed for doing the events. We have fancy ballrooms the size of thousands and thousands. And you cannot have an event with 50 people and consumption of energy being low. It's very important that our AHUs, our TFAs, our VFDs are programmed and they are serviced on time-to-time basis so that you can actually switch on the air conditioning only several minutes rather than switching on hours before an event starts. I think it's very crucial to look at overall energy and maintenance of the hotel and whether, small things like whether the transformers are giving you the 0.99 factor or not. If your transformers are not giving you a 0.99 factor, you possibly are losing just 700 to 800 units of energy just coming to the building before it actually hits the LT panel. So I think these things can really become control point and mechanism, and the GM has to take a lot of interest into the engineer, must walk around the plant room, must understand, and then only he'll be able to possibly contribute. So I think over a period of time, hotels have also truncated the operation. We've looked at things very minutely, that how many walk-ins do you really need in the hotel vis-a-vis how many are available for you. Your air balancing, when is it last done? Are you maintaining checklists for all your equipments in your hotel or not? And if you're able to do, you can really, I think, contribute to conserving the energy that is needed. Another thing in hotels about wastage is the wet garbage, and I think on daily basis, asking and writing it in the cafeteria or in public, in staff presence board, that how much is the wastage last evening or yesterday, and how many people it can feed. Not just from the point of view for making it aware, but also making sure this is going after that into the organic waste converters, and from there, it is actually given back to the mother nature in some form that it cultivates better yield for us to survive. So I think hotels have been consuming a lot of energy, but I think we become prudent and there is a plan in a sustainable manner to go forward as far as it comes for our hotel.
So I think in summation, you pretty much said measure, monitor, and maintain our equipment so that they don't become big guzzlers, and ensure that we keep our energy low, because also it saves our cost lines, right? We're all very happy when our cost lines are low too. So thank you for that, Tarun. This also kind of leads me to the second half of that question, which is wastage, which I will bounce off my colleague in Hyderabad, Sandeep. So in wastage, we spoke about energy, but I think a larger and a bigger part of wastage is also the food wastage, right? That comes out of our kitchens caused by probably overproduction. It could be potential or provided overconsumption, and then the end of the life cycle, right? Which is actually the problem. So what do you think, what should we do to fix it? And what would be your brief to your kitchen brigade and food and beverage teams on this, food wastage part, Sandeep?
Thank you, Ian. Thank you. Thank you for that very descriptive profile statement. I couldn't have done better than that.
Welcome.
There's something which was missing on that was definitely that I've got a good experience on food and beverage. I think that's what was close to my heart always. And if given an opportunity, this would have been my first question to be picked up. It's like, I'll tell you, the question itself answers a very big mystery. Food wastage, I think it comes majorly from overproduction and overconsumption. I think that's the first thing. I think the question answers the whole statement. And, we often blame customer for this high food overconsumption, but practically saying it, what I realize is that the significant potential for food waste prevention actually lies within the scope of the teams in the hotel. They are the ones, the food and beverage service and the kitchen teams, which probably can take care of this food wastage. So that's where my first point is whenever I heard this question right now. Overproduction is a big problem. I get it right. I think every day, probably in our hotels, we tell the chefs, we tell the F&B directors, we keep talking about it a lot. So I would very quickly say time is less on this. I would have talked for 24 hours on this topic. I'm sure about it. It's like, first of all, thing is avoid elaborate buffets and plate decorations. I think they need to go away from the hotels. The kind of lavish food spreads what we do in the buffets somewhere are not in line. And the kind of a plate decoration sometimes we do it is something which we can do away. Eliminate from the plate design garnishes that people don't eat anymore. They don't add to the flavors, they remain on the plate, they go in the bins out there. That's something that we need to probably take care of, which I would say that.
If I may just interrupt, sorry, Sandeep, but what happens if a guest says, this is what I want, I am paying for it, so I want this big garnished little thing put up there, whether I consume it or not. That's the push and a pull, right?
Very rightly said, Ian. The thing is that the garnish accompaniments are to be the one which probably should be the liking to often a guest that he doesn't waste it on the plate. There are many times when you see those garnishes which are absolutely redundant. A coleslaw on a club sandwich today, I would say, is 80% of time left by the guest. Can we change that coleslaw to something else? Just giving an example of it there, you're rightly saying is you want a value for money, but that can come from things which can be eaten well and not wasted well. I think that's where I would say that. Buffet management.
For that matter, the size of your grilled sandwich and your burger and all the accompaniments that come with it.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. The other thing we need to realize is every food on the buffet is not supposed to be for the buffet. We need to understand there are foods which are not meant to come on the buffet, which has to be educated to the production chef's team. We tend to do every kind of food there. There is some food which has got such a small life on the buffet, 1 hour. We tend to keep it there, and then we need to, we see that buffet wastage, which is after the buffet. Post-production, that is something which is very important to be taken care of it. More live cooking, more fresh counters, and the buffet should be the norm. Because that's a win-win situation. The hotels save the cost, the guest gets the fresh food. I think that's what we probably need to bear in fact. I would like to give this message to everyone. I do it every day at the hotel out there. Another aspect which I say, Ian, is which I've been closely watching is that in the question it was there is the end of life cycle for a food which is there. We have got it 3-layered in our hotel and we have been practicing it in the West cluster of my region, which I say is one is the moment the food is out of the buffet, it should go to the staffed restaurants in the night, immediately. Don't waste it. Second thing is during the lunchtime, generally our food buffets are over by 3:30, cafeterias are over. That should go exactly to any kind of food charities, which every city has it. And the third is in case it is not fit for the human consumption, I think it is ready to go to the animal feeds, which is done over here. I think that's very important aspect. I say it.
Yeah.
We have been practicing and we have got some good claims over that, which we have been seeing out there. The other aspect is, which I would say is menu planning. Gone are the days when we used to do 30% production of food over and above the minimum mandate. I think time is that we should get into 10%. Time it is when we tell the client that if the number of people goes beyond a certain number in the buffet, or in the banquets, then he needs to pay extra for it.
And I can just, sorry to interrupt, but if I want, you can add one more to that list. Is, discussing offline with Bhuvanesh. I've seen a small little clip-it video, sadly I couldn't locate it, where you have a person standing by plates where people are leaving after a wedding dinner. And if there's food on that plate, he says, I'm sorry, you cannot place your plate here. Finish your food before you place your plate here. So you might want to have a gatekeeper there as well to add to those processes. On a lighter note.
Yeah, it's criminal actually, the water.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Sandeep. Some great solutions and some great suggestions as well for all of us. I now move to Rajesh, who's in my hometown, Chennai. I hope the weather is treating you well there, Rajesh.
I think the weather is at the best at the moment.
Yes, I know it is. So I think the other, one big area of environmental damage, if I can use that harsh word, and probably excess usage is our laundries, right? Our laundries in many of our hotels. So how do you sensitize your housekeeping department and your guests, right? That we need to use our linen, be it in the room, on the bathroom, probably the entire duration of stay, or once or twice a week. You want to change that? Because, after all, at home, many of us don't change our linen, every day, probably once or twice a week, maybe, right? So why do you feel that can't be done or systemized in a hotel, on your hotel?
Yeah. Thank you. I think it's a fantastic question, and it's really a big area. And I do feel that, sometimes this area of laundry causing the pollution and wastage, it does not get the attention that it truly deserves. So, sustainability for us has been there, as a mission statement before it became such a hot topic, now that it's become with climate change and everything. So as far as sensitizing the team goes, I think we have had this as part of our training for a long time now, where we do train people on, how to handle the bath linen and the bed linen. So in terms of the team, how we do it is, of course, through the daily briefings and the training. And as hoteliers, I think it also kind of our responsibility to educate our guests on this aspect. Not that the guests are not aware of. What I notice now is that guests are really very well aware of wastage and the ecological impact of travel and everything. So the guests are extremely aware these days, especially the new generation. I think are extremely well aware of what pollution is causing and what kind of ecological damage the travel or tourism is causing. So they are very much sensitive and aware of the topic. But nevertheless, I think one aspect that we do is, of course, have these 10 cards, the collaterals or the creatives in the room, which suggest guests that, they don't need to change their, like the bath linen, especially. So we do change, as a process, we do change their bath linen and provide fresh towels only if the guest requests for it. Or, we have a note which says that if they leave the towels on the rack for drying, then we don't change it. And if they leave it on the bathroom floor, then we go ahead and give them a fresh set of towels. And as far as the bed linen goes, if they are long stay guests who are staying for 3 days or 7 days, it is again left to the guest preference. So we do advise that and suggest that, it will be only based on request. So it is not that, housekeeping team will automatically go and change the linen on a daily basis. There are many other things also, which I think most of the hotels must be doing already and which we all can follow. One is, of course, that in hotels, I do see that in some hotels, the size of the bath linen or the weight of the bath linen in the interest of, we think that it's for luxury sake, it is sometimes oversized. So that is something which we have also tried optimizing these days, the size and the weight of the bath linen. And the other thing which is actually connected is the wastage or the pollution that is caused by the laundry, which is, I think, a major area. So that is where I think we need to monitor the kind of water that we're using there. We all know broadly that a kg of laundry washing, it takes about 5 liters of water per kg of laundry. So any saving that we can achieve there in terms of how many washes we are doing or what is the weight of the laundry that we are washing, it automatically translates to saving in water. And other very important aspect I would say is the laundry chemicals. I'm sure most of the hotels actually have now the system of dosing, the chemical dosing, which automatically happens. So it's always done as per what is the exact measure, because overuse of chemical is something that we all want to avoid. And of course, to train the laundry team that run the batch only if you really if you have the full load. And then, in fact, we have invested in really small machines, because that was another issue that we used to have earlier, that all our machines required big size machine. So sometimes you do get the small batches of laundry, which you have to run sometimes for the guest laundry. So we do have smaller, the laundry dryers and the machines. So that, again, I think it is something which really helps.
Rajesh, let me point here. Often I go to many hotels. You have these small cards which are checklists. Next on the bed table, right? Or somewhere in the toilet or somewhere. So where you said, do you want your linen to be done? Do you want your bed linen to be done? It doesn't work. I think somewhere the housekeeping staff should call up after the guest is checked in. Here is a bit of a check with you. Would you want your linen checked every day? We recommend so many days.
Exactly.
Right? If that can be done, it's more in the face.
In fact, we do have our floor supervisors and the floor attendants who are already trained on this, and they do that. But it's a valid point. Sometimes just leaving the literature over there doesn't help.
And I think to add to that, what Bhuvanesh said, very, very valid point he touched upon. I think also the number of pieces we place in a room. Do you need 4 pillows for a single traveler? Is he going to use 3-4 towels in the bathroom? Because once you place them, you have to wash them, right?
You have to change,
You can't say it's not used and you have to wash them. Does he need 4 face towels and a hand towel? You use 1 towel and a face towel in your homes, right? So I think those questions need to be asked as to do you actually need to place them in the first place.
Yes. And in fact, other couple of small points, which could also again benefit everyone. Is some of the hotels tend to use this. In fact, we were also at some point using this laundry bags, which are like made of non-woven material, which we have kind of made it into reusable cloth material now. And then, of course, the laundry packaging when you deliver it back. Whether we can use like baskets instead of doing like paper laundry bags to deliver the fresh laundry back to the guest.
Thank you very much, Rajesh. I think
thank you
for a very, very detailed one, and someone was carefully listening to that and made points. Probably 10 to 15% of laundry efficiency can kick in immediately. Thank you for those really, really, good, valid points. My next question, if I can bring in Sunaina. So this is again on waste. So how do you handle the complete waste that's generated by a hotel? And will it be a good idea if we start actually measuring that waste, whatever's generated across the hotel? And if you don't, you already have a system where you set targets and look at reductions. You could say by weight or by category or by department, putting competitiveness among them to see whether people can actually reduce that waste. Do you have some kind of system like that in your hotels, Sunaina?
Thank you, Ian. It's actually a very, very interesting question, and I'm really happy to share what we are doing, not just in my hotel, but across all Accor hotels. Accor is very proud to have a program which is called Planet 21, and it's been going on for years. And the program primarily works on the 6 pillars of sustainability, and experience related with partners, with local communities, and also working towards striving zero waste and healthy sustainable food. And that's the major pillar that we focus on. We also have a waste management solution program that we have implemented. In fact, 90% of all the hotels have implemented this, which basically talks about measuring the wastage. So we all know the major wastage in every hotel comes from food. So what we have in this particular program is very simple, that at the end of the day, the weight of the food wastage is weighed by section wise. So for example, if it's different kitchen sections, we record it and we put it on the software. It gives us a report at the end of the month and we review it. So we are able to find out where is the wastage coming from, which section is it coming from. Then the team gathers together and we make an action plan. Now, these action plans are actually a lot that we've already spoken about and implemented. I think Sandeep was talking about reducing the buffets sizes. So what we did is we reduced the portion size of the buffets. So instead of having the full chapping dishes, we made small bowls in the chapping dishes. We also implement zero buffets also. I mean, I think it's become a norm that we need to have a buffet in our all-day dinings, because we think every guest that comes to a 5-star hotel wants a buffet, but that's not the case. Even when people dine, there are a lot of people who don't want buffet. They want to have fresh cooked food and a la carte food. So that's something that we implement, that when we know the occupancies are not high, we don't have buffets. And we are happy to say that as a part of Planet 21, we don't have buffets right now, but we have a set menu, or you can order. So that's been really fairly successful. And I'm happy to say that we've implemented in last about 4 or 5 months, and we've reduced our wastage by 30%, which is actually quite high. And this is a target that's been given to us as general managers, and of course the team implements it. And that's something that I think every hotel is doing it, but I don't know if hotels are measuring it. So this is something that we've done this year. What we're also looking at is elevating it to different departments, because like housekeeping is again another example where there are a lot of wastage. What we also do is, the soaps that come out of the rooms, we also melt it and give it to an organization where it is reused. So these are the kind of things that we do within the hotel, and it is making a huge difference. And it helps in adding a little bit an effort, very little effort, but very, very huge impact, both on our bottom line and also when we talk about sustainability. I think it's important that every single employee understands it, and that's what I'm proud of, that the team is engaged and they appreciate it. So I think I'm very happy to share that. I'm sure all the other brands, I mean, when I hear, I'm sure all the other brands are doing it, but I think we need to, yes, I agree, we really need to measure it. That's when we will know whether we are successful or not.
So yeah, Manus, so my question to you, Manus, is LEED certification, right, is given to green buildings which are carbon neutral, right? And your asset is a pioneer, so as to say, in India in terms of LEED certifications, right? So will it be a good idea that each asset should work towards getting this LEED certification and display it? And should guests start asking you for your score so that it creates some kind of an engagement with your guests as well? What are your thoughts and suggestions of that?
This is a complex question. What does LEED really do? It essentially certifies the energy efficiency of buildings, that you are as green as you can get. Now, what does that do to guests? It essentially helps guests experience luxury without the guilt. It's like eating a chocolate ice cream and not putting on weight. While you're using a facility that is LEED Platinum certified, you are essentially leaving a very low or no carbon footprint as you leave. Now, this resonates across generations, and in the pandemic especially, everybody's become oversensitive to what the ecosystem means, what the environment means, what the earth means to them. And in the context of post-pandemic world, I think it's even more efficient. Now, LEED fundamentally is not just about certification. It's about a way of life. Broadly falls into 4 buckets. Bucket 1 is, how is your site built? Do you preserve environmental integrity, ecological integrity when you're either building hotels, or once you've built hotels, can it be converted to have a larger footprint or integrity as so far as the environment is concerned? And how does one do it? Rainwater harvesting, for example. In my hotel, we have 80% of our rainwater flow through runoff that is harvested. Saving natural resources such as petrol and diesel. How do we drive it? Almost 75% of our staff are either using public transportation or pool vehicles. So that's one way of how you manage your site. The second part is energy efficiency. How energy efficient are you? Where is your energy coming from? What kind of installations do you have? Do they consume a lot? Do they consume a little? Where is your electricity coming from? Is it through natural sources like wind or solar, or is it thermal energy? Where is it coming from? The energy that is indeed coming into your hotel, is it used to optimal levels? All our hotels, for example, have double glazed windows. Now, the reason for it very simply is that you don't let the external environment and temperature affect the internal air conditioning of the hotel. All of us do it, perhaps not knowing why, but we all do it. Then the third element is water efficiency. What happens to your water? We are practically water positive in the hotel that I work in. Now we generate as much water after recycling as much as we consume. Things like drip irrigation and all these things really work. And I think lastly is, and this is the difficult part, which is how we manage our material procurement, waste management, etc. So the closer you get your consumables from, the lesser carbon footprint it leaves. So we have almost 55% of our food consumables coming from locally sourced markets, which means that we have that much lower carbon footprint that we're leaving behind. In a similar sense, almost 98% of our solid waste is reconverted. Rather than sending them to dumps and incinerators, we recycle them in some manner or the other. So it's a way of life, and getting a certification is yes, it's a difficult task. It's an ask. And our hotel was the first LEED Platinum certified hotel in South India back in 2016, and we were built in '82. So it's not easy for an old hotel to be converted. It's not an easy task at all. And but today, very proudly, like it was part of my introduction that you gave, that we stand as a company as the largest LEED Platinum certified hotel company in the world. 2 hotels got converted to Platinum just in the last 6 weeks. So is it something that we believe in for the larger cause, for this generation, the generations to come? Very much. Our commitment to LEED is very high, and I wish everybody follows.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And your hotel is like top of the stack. So
yes, and that's a different story. When we talk about energy, I'll talk about that as well.
Yeah, great. Now, so we're slipping in with the next show. Our next show is in the east of India. We're moving to Kolkata, where we have some great speakers. We have Gaurav Singh, who's leading the show. We have Sumit Suri, Sandeep Johri. Sumit, as you know, is JW Marriott. Sandeep, and I think Sumit is ex-ITC, right? Sandeep Johri. Then we have Dilip Mishra of the Lalit, the Great Eastern. We have Bhavna Verma of the IHG. We have Pramod Bhandari, Rajesh's counterpart in Kolkata. We have Debarashi Sanyal, who's from Howard and Johnson by Wyndham. So it's a great show. The show topic is, when is it going to claim its fair share of the national pie? You know, East is the land of the rising sun within the Indian context, but it's low. So they really need to pick up a lot more.
If I can bring in Neha once more into the discussion, and Neha, if I may caution you that this next question or concern is very close to Bhuvanesh's heart, and he has voiced this to me already a couple of times in earlier interactions. So be aware as you answer this. So each time when we use and throw away disposable items, right, like a napkin, tissue, earbud, plastic wrapping, could be packaging, even a bottle cap or a glass bottle, a plastic bottle, it hurts, right? Because some of this is not going to be used ever again. And we spend a lot of money on packaging and then handling that disposable post that. So what do you suggest we do? What are your plans? What are you all doing? What do you think is the substitution for these? If there is a substitution, and how do you sensitize your teams and guests, both alike?
That's that. You put like 4 or 5 questions into one question.
Okay, focus on the last 2. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start by answering. Is this avoidable? No. Is it totally avoidable? No. Can it be? Can the wastage come down? Absolutely, absolutely yes. And I will link this back to what I said, that and to a couple of stuff that Rajesh and Sandeep also spoke about, is that we will need to start educating even our consumers about rethinking and refusing. At this point of time, we consider packaging not as a cost, but we are now realizing that packaging has become our biggest cost on our P&Ls. Just before I came into this meeting, I was on a 2-hour review meeting where we were only talking about packaging and vis-a-vis, the revenue and how we may need, in the months to come, we may need to start charging extra for that extensive extra packaging that we are doing. At one point of time, we used to say, okay, if the food is going out of the hotel, you're saving on manpower, you're saving on it. The person is not coming to your hotel. At this point of time, the hotels being so sustainable, it's cheaper for them to come to the hotel than for me to pack and send the food. So can I do away with packaging? No. But yes, substitution is the key over here. Like Sunaina may mention about Planet 21 in Accor, even Marriott is a very sustainable, conscious company in terms of what is coming in to start with, and what Manus also may mention, that 55% of the produce is local. What I want to come to the thing that we need to be conscious about the items being biodegradable. We're not using single-use plastic. How fast the items could be recycled. Are we already there? For Bangalore, I would say that because of the guidelines and everything, you wouldn't find single-use plastic in 90% of the places. It's pretty much banned. Even the sabzi wala doesn't give you a packet over here. So as a city, as a municipal corporation, it is a very and because I've stayed in multiple metros, Bangalore is way ahead in terms of how they manage sustainability in terms of biodegradable items. Coming to what can we do about it, I think there's a lot of R&D which is required at the moment. There are 2 examples that I would like to mention. There's a company in the UK, I think it's in London. The name of the company itself is NotPla. NotPla standing for not plastic, where the packaging is not only biodegradable, it is edible packaging. Oh. It is made from plant-based. So, these, we were talking about McDonald's, somebody was talking about McDonald's, and we were talking about the ketchup and all which comes with it in plastic packaging. So NotPla has converted those packaging, those plastic ketchups into NotPla packaging, which is actually edible. So even if you don't eat that packaging and it's plant-based, it gets recycled in 7 days because it's plant-based, it's edible. And apparently they started something with Glenlivet also over there. You get shots of Glenlivet in these packaging, so you don't only drink it, you can eat it also. So I think we still as a country need to reach that level. But yes, we cannot reduce, we cannot remove it, but we can reduce it. Another example which I saw, and again, I think South Korea is the pioneer in all of these things, but Samsung is very close to our heart in India also. So I saw this something, so we get these big televisions, 52 inches, 62 inches, 72 inches, and they come in huge packaging. What do we do about those packaging? As Indians, we first to store it for 1-2 years, that I'll have to move, I'll use that packaging again, and I'll sort of do it. So some of us throw it away. So in Korea, they've started something called eco-conscious art projects, where how you could recycle this huge amount of packaging into maybe a bookshelf next to your bedroom, or a stand to keep your magazine. What we have for kids these days, DIY boxes. So they're making those things as DIY. So can we reduce packaging? No, but yes, we can figure out ways of recycling them or rethinking how to use them.
Thank you very much, Neha. I think some great tips there as well. And just to add on, there was also a news clipping that I had seen some time ago of a person, I think it was in Kerala, that had made these spoons made out of ragi, right? So you can actually eat those spoons once you finish actually eating your meat, you actually eat those spoons on that fork. So it's happening here in India. They just need that push, I guess.
Yes.
True.
It will come.
Yeah. Thank you. My next question is to Tarun, predominantly on recycling, Tarun. So what's your take on recycling that happens at your hotels, whether it be water bottles, plastic containers, etc. What do you do at your hotel on the recycling part? And also we know that water being such a critical probably they're saying that the next world war would probably be over water, right? It's such a critical resource that we can never do without. So, water tables are dropping, there is concerns everywhere. So what is your efforts on the waterfront, on recycling and on the, the water part as well?
First of all, I think I live in the city of Chennai, which we all know until about a couple of years ago, the city was almost parched. And there was a news being flashed just a couple of years ago, which was saying by 2020, Chennai will be out of water. Fortunately for us, the unprecedented rains this year have really possibly filled the water level down to a sustainable level, that we don't have that problem looming over our heads that the water is about to vanish. But it's a scarce resource. It's a very expensive commodity. Most of the commercial establishment and hotels in Chennai or across India do not run on their own borewell. Very limited supplies coming from actually the government sources. We all rely on a lot of tank water. I think from the last 3 years, we adapted a process specifically for water, is to send an appeal to all our guests who stay in the hotel, where we went very bold and very authentic in our communication to all our guests. All our rooms at Hyatt Regency Chennai have bathtubs. We explicitly wrote a communication to all our guests in the rooms that we urge you to not use the bathtub despite that they're being present in the room. And we mentioned that each time you plunge in the bathtub, you consume over 150 to 175 liters of water. And that's a significant amount. Apart from that, we also did appeal to all our guests, once again, in a very authentic and bold manner, that if you could reduce your shower time in the rooms from 8 to 9 minutes of an average shower time to 3 to 4 minutes, it will save up to about 50 liters of water. This initiative that was taken by us in our hotel was applauded, and obviously a lot of Hyatt hotels took inspiration from this initiative of a letter which was being placed in the rooms. And it really helped us in actually sensitizing our guests to look at water as a very, very scarce commodity in times to come. And I think it should be done on domestic as well as any other level in commercial.
Thank you very much for that. And I think it's all about reminding our guests as well, right? I think people are willing to do it. Sometimes they just forget about it. So the more you remind them, I guess the more they will come on board. And with some good global climate change meets like the COP26 recently in Glasgow, I think when you watch those on television, as it all gets back into the behind part of your brain, right? And then it comes out when you actually have these kind of suggestions that come up in a hotel. Great, thank you for that.
Awesome. Thank you.
If we can now bring in Manus as well. I think he covered the water part, Manus. So if I can talk about the electricity, which is the other big concern. So is there any conservation plans that you have, generation of solar, for your local energy requirements? Where are you currently in the scheme of things? Where do you want to be, a kind of a plan? Do you have like a laid out plan for that? You want to share some thoughts on that?
Where we are is in a very enviable position, and everybody on this panel in the world of hotels would love to be in my shoes. We have 99% of our energy, electrical energy, being met by renewable sources. We own windmills, wind farms in a place called Bellary. It's about 300 kilometers from here. So while all of you paying lakhs and lakhs every month for electrical charges, we pay a pittance. We pay a fraction of that.
How much? Give us a number.
Now, I would like to, but I can tell you it's less than 5% of what an average hotel of my size, which is about 250 rooms, would pay. Anywhere in the country, probably be paying about 5% of that. Now, it's not just about the environment. There is a direct impact on your P&L on a rolling basis so far as this is concerned. Now, that is the extreme. I refer to what Tarun said earlier about, okay, I'll take one step back even. When electricity comes from what? It's thermal, or it's the renewable source of hydro or solar or wind. Now, when we leave home, we tend to turn off the light because we are hardwired to make sure that resource is not wasted. And that is built into every hotel at varying levels of sensitivity. Tarun was talking about VFDs, and all of us have variable frequency drives in our AHUs and FCUs and air filters and all of those things. So that's the first step. It's the beginning of this. Is this a journey that can be transgressed over 6 months because I decided that I want to go into a renewable source? It's not. More than unlikely. There's a lot of capital investment required, but it pays for itself over years going by. Electricity is really one of the components of your carbon neutral policy. And when you said we were at the talk of the town, I'm very proud to be the first global hotel to be carbon zero, LEED carbon zero, which means that we produce zero carbon in this hotel. And it's no mean feat. There is no carbon footprint coming out. There's nothing that's coming out of this hotel that is polluting the environment so far as the carbon footprint is concerned. So it is achievable, very, very achievable. And for an old hotel, a hotel of our age to have achieved it, if it can be done by us, I'm certain that our company, as well as many others, and in fact, just last week, earlier this week, ITC Grand Chola became the largest zero carbon hotel in the world in Chennai. That was 3 days ago. We got our certification. So it is possible for new hotels, for old hotels, for big hotels, for small hotels. If you're concerned about the environment and focused on decarbonization, electricity is a very, very big one. And sourcing of electricity is the next big step, and it can be done by a variety of ways, including things like solar plate collectors, solar farms, buying renewable energy instead of government energy, energy efficient installations, heat pumps that are energy efficient, things like that. So yes, to answer your question, Ian, we are very proudly where we want to be. We hope to stay here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Manus. That's very, very nice to hear, and great to even hear what you're doing at the hotel that you're sitting in as well at the Windsor. Thank you for that. My next couple of last questions that we are coming probably to the end of the show now. So my last couple of questions, first is to Sandeep. Sandeep, as in your city region or the hotels that you cover, is there a kind of like a forum for you to drive sustainability on either could be conservation within the geography area that you're handling? And if there's nothing like that, then the obvious question is, why not? Why can't we have something like that? And if there is a forum like that, then what is the current progress of that, and what's the future plans as well?
I think the most sensitive question right now of the whole forum is, where are the focused forums? Whether it's the region Maharashtra or Gujarat, Goa, or for Telangana Metro, I say the management of sustainability is very fragmented in our country. So I really don't say that there are very focused forums out here. Yes, we all do it in bits and pieces. It's happening there, but we need a very big concrete focus on these things. First question to be answered on that. Now, the new black is the green. What we say is, everybody wants to do sustainability. Everybody wants to do over there, but the guidances are less. I'm very happy at Manus. He comes back from ITC where there's a huge support out there for the brand to take responsible luxury to the next level. But that kind of an appetite is missing for investments at other standalone hotel per se, I see. How many will have that? That means there has to be these schemes from the government. They have to incentivize it. I think affordability eludes all of us. A lot of these things, a simple thing I'll tell you, putting a solar power into a hotel is so much of a cost. AMCs are high, feasibilities are low. You need areas to do that eventually an owner of a hotel really don't lands up doing it. unless like he's putting up a windmill 300 kilometers again and offsets their electricity. So it's there, but it's still not there. I think the certification like ISO 22,000 or 14,001, what hotels take it, they are there for us. I mean, they give you a certain prescriptions of how to go about doing it. The authorities out there, but we need more than that. Now, if we say it in this state, mostly I see that the pollution control boards do a lot for us. I mean, they are the ones which direct us, whether it is your pollutions, your discharge of effluents into the sewer systems, or today, Telangana state 2 years back, as we see it, made compost machines very mandatory for all the hotels, which is generating 50 kg and above of wet garbage. Great incentive. But then everybody tried doing a panic buying of a compost machine because it was coming very hard on us. Then you realize that there are no partners to make a good compost machine. There were a couple of the people there, we bought it. The end product is not getting used. So we know all that. This state has got, I would say, the highest sewer cess charges, 35%. 35% of the water bill is the tax, put it on to the hotels. They can offset it. Offset criteria is, can you make it as a no drop in the drains? Even if a hotel tries to do it, it's a quarterly examination of it, and you have to run 2-4 departments to get it done. So we get defeated. Sustainability remains on the paper sometimes, though hotels try to do it. That's I'm addressing overall for the industry and for the states and for the region as well. Yeah. There are, sorry. So there are global forums like EarthCheck, we talk about it. There's something called as EcoVadis. Now, EcoVadis is an accreditation which comes in where sustainability is not just in a hotel, but into the partners also which are there. The people who are going to be associated with you, because you can't be sustainable on your own. Sustainability means your partners, your traders, your other people also have to be sustainable, because the procurement for sustainability is so important. So that has to come into India. Those laws are still not there. As Radisson Hotels, I think we have globally tied up with EcoVadis to make ourselves compliant. And the focus for the brand is to be by 2050 a no zero carbon print hotel group as it is. We just focused on visionary out there. So we follow that. So I would say these are the larger things which I see it. I think it addresses all the questions to your answers.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, yeah.
For that, Sandeep. I think to just add on with like you said, so one is the commitment of the hotels and groups to do it, and two is sometimes like I think even Neha had mentioned, the legislations within a state kind of pushes people also to do it. No plastic, then no plastic. No bins, then no bins. So I think that also adds on to kind of help in the entire scheme of things. Next question is to Rajesh. If I can bring you in, Rajesh, and this again we're coming back to this a little touchy subject. We spoke about this a little bit earlier, but this is specifically to the banquets wastage of food, right? We all know we go for large banqueting, you walk out of the banquet hall, you step out, you see, the less fortunate on the street, and it's quite of heart-wrenching, right? To say the least, when you see that, when you see a lot of food here, one going to waste, and you see, the gap between the haves and the have-nots. So what is your take on this? How do you tell your guests, for example, that would you tell him, sir, this amount of food is enough for a X number of covers? Are you over ordering? Would you ever tell him that? And at the end of the day, do you ever think that will this have such a big impact on your top line?
Great. I think, like you said, Ian, I think this is like a passion topic for all of us, the food waste, and I really do think that the extravagant and extremely elaborate buffets, earlier days, probably many of us have indulged in to kind of promote saying buffets have 60 dishes or 120 dishes or whatever is really passé. It's out of fashion, and I think we all should work together to make it out of fashion. Absolutely. So yeah, and in fact, I used to work abroad, and abroad there is not so much of focus on buffets. In fact, it is more on even in banqueting, irrespective of whether it is 200 people or 500 people, it's like sit down menus. And I think that really reduces the wastage of food, because people get really portioned food. And, what I've seen there is what ends up in the bins is substantially lesser than what we see when we do large buffets. So yes, I think we must strive to make sure that the old style buffets are really, and the brunches are another area where we tend to kind of really overdo things sometimes. And what we have consciously done, number one is, I think all hotels do have like a set format of banquet menu. Like, you have, guest can pay X amount of money and you can choose X number of dishes. I think that is one area where to start what we've done at the park. In fact, we had a survey which we did not just at the park, but it was across the IPJ group, which is our parent group. I think most of us must be knowing already. We have the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which has kind of set a target that the food loss per capita we will reduce by 50% by 2030. So based on that, actually, we did this survey. We did it across the group, and we did it for all the employees of the APJ group, our parent company. And we had some brilliant insights from that survey that we did. And many initiatives were taken up after that. So one was, of course, like having this, I think some of you must be already having this no bin days in employee dining area, where, there is absolutely no dustbin provided. So people have to eat what they pick up. And another area, like I mentioned, the banquet, the format that we give, we have reduced how many dishes that people get to choose on those menus. One thing that is where people really insist on buffets. So one thing that we really are focusing now is, I think somebody also mentioned, I think Sandeep mentioned, is about having more live stations. Like you have more of, chefs cooking food over there, fresh. First of all, the guests get the food absolutely fresh. And what we have really seen is that when you have, you don't do buffet at all, and you just do 3 or 4 live stations. And it does take some bit of effort, but in the end, definitely a 30% reduction can be achieved on food waste if you just do a live station where the chef is making the food based on order and not just,
and also somewhere if we could reduce the portions.
Absolutely, yes.
Because the servings are so large, then that the greedy Punjabi like me will say, it's been served, I must eat it.
Definitely.
Forgetting that 200 to 250 grams is all that my stomach can take.
Yeah. You'll ask me, I got the butter, where's the chicken?
So in fact, not only on the banquet portions, Bhuvanesh, even the a la carte portions, I think that is one area also we've worked on to reduce the a la carte portion. Like you rightly mentioned, sometimes the burgers are like really huge in the hotels, and you have whether you're grilled.
I have a different. Where do I start eating them?
Yeah.
And people do end up wasting it. So we
can reduce. Sorry if I may interrupt. For that, Bhuvanesh, you should have seen that small video that Chris Gale had shot in our hotel at the Taj Exotica in Maldives. He was eating a giant. So I don't know if you saw that. The burger was this big.
Don't compare me with Chris Gale. He has huge reach.
No, and we could reduce those portion sizes and in fact pass on that benefit to customer in terms of the pricing that we're doing on the a la carte menus. And yes, Ian, about your point about the people training our people, that is another point which is a good point, that people should be firstly very well aware, the service level team should be fully aware of what the portion sizes are, how many pieces of chicken tikka is there in your portion. So in terms of menu specs and everything, it can be really laid out for the team so that the team is really aware and they can also guide guests accordingly so that over ordering can be reduced. And, there is no need to then pack up food and, or waste food.
Sure.
And of course, the other thing, just to reiterate, that if we don't have, I think, too much of this concept of community, like a refrigerators or something, because the shelf life of the food that is left over, that is sometimes a concern. So yes, of course, if the quality can be assured, it can be given to charities or some homes where they could pick up food. And animal shelter is something which again, we have done, and which I'm sure in many cities it can be done, that whatever food is not good for human consumption, it can be given off to animal shelters, and that can make it zero waste really.
So our hotel has taken the claim in the last 4 years of the staff restaurant to be, it's called as Tum Bin. There is no bin in the staff cafeteria any point of time. And the result is that we used to have an average 20 kg per day as a wastage, which is only 2 kg per day for the last 3 years. So that says that how we can say.
Yeah, that's great to hear, which actually leads me to the next question to Sunaina, which is what I think you touched upon it, Rajesh, and now you, Sandeep. So is there a possibility, Sunaina, of, building this into, the variable part of an employee's compensation, probably direct or indirect, for his sustainability efforts leading up to what the hotel is doing, and probably, dovetailing down to his department and probably his function, per se, which kind of will also drive him to that big picture of the hotel's sustainability efforts? What are your views on that?
So to start off with, again, happy to share that it's already there, a part of a compensation with Accor. Of course, it's only at the leadership levels that it's there. So what we've done is whenever every employee joins Accor as a brand, we've got corporate social and environment charter that they sign off. We conduct a training with every single employee, which is only about how and what efforts can be done to, that's when we educate them about our Planet 21 program. I think that's where it all starts from, that the kind of effort that we put in on new joiners or employees that get on board, about telling them jobs, how to pour to pour water in the glass, or how to set the table. I think it's equally important to educate the employees about the environment and what can they do and how can that impact. Second step is about whether we make it mandatory as a part of compensation. It's a debatable thing, especially for the down level employees, because I think that it's important to educate first. It's important to have a structure in place where they're able to do it, because it should not be that the hotel doesn't have that structure and we are expecting them to do it. If it's not convenient, if they don't find that the task that they're expected to do in that short span of time, they will not be able to do it. So foremost and the most important thing is that the structure needs to support what we expect them to do. Coming back, I think more important thing is the culture. So developing a culture is very important. And like I was taught, what I see being a resort hotel, a lot of kids come, to our hotels and they dine. And the education system, I think, has changed drastically within India, where, the projects are so based on environment and the kids are so aware. So they tell, the parents that, okay, don't waste food. When the server is coming and clearing the table, they say, okay, I've heard them saying, Papa, you're leaving the food behind and please eat. So that's what has come about, I think. And what we need to do is we need to bring the same culture in our organization for our employees, that they start also believing in it. I think it has to come from heart. The only way I think this can come a reality is by compassion and by commitment, which comes only with the heart. Of course, education is important, infrastructure is important, but I would not want to make it mandatory, especially for the down level team. Yes, for senior leaders, for us, if it is as an incentivization, we obviously, don't just look at the P&L, we look at this also. But I think it's important that we educate. I think very, very importantly, bring that passion and drive for the team also to do it collectively.
So there is hope. There is hope, right? Now, for instance, Ian, what we've started at our place, right? We do not, in going with the Atithi Devo Bhava thing in the Indian households, where if a guest comes or anybody comes, you fill a full glass of water and serve them. They may not drink it. And where does it go? It goes down into the basin, right? Point is, put a pitcher there, put glasses over there, let them pour as much as they want to. We could do that in hotels too, right? That brings me to a question for you, Ian. This is a loaded one. I had a long one for you, but one part of it was answered earlier, where we said, why don't we ask the guests how often do they want their linen changed? But I have this other one which we could start. How about starting a carbon rating scorecard for each guest on a country-wide basis, and they should get benefits on rate, on services, whatever and whichever hotel they stay in. And inversely, they should be docked with higher rates and lesser services if their score is not enough. Like we have for credit cards, we have credit ratings. Right? When you apply for a credit card or a car loan or a home loan, you're not aware, but they're reading your scorecard. And basis that, do you get a rate? Or your loan application is accepted or rejected? Why can't we do that?
So I think it's a great idea, an out of the box idea, but I think it's definitely worth exploring, Bhuvanesh. And I'm sure with the current awareness, we just spoke of the awareness that's all around us, whether it's the television, the climate change meets, social media, at the tip of a touch of a button, you get information, it's at your fingertips. So I think it's an idea that's definitely worth exploring. And I'm positive that guests also will be, not immediately, but slowly they will also graduate to want to participate, in programs, like this. And you see already a lot of them mentioned, right? We're already doing some of this, and we see some good movement from guests in terms of their commitment to this. So whether it's, someone spoke about reuse of linen, we also do it in our hotels. They actually tell us, right? I don't want my linen to be used today. They put the small little card on the bed and say, don't change my linen today. We've also, for example, we changed the aerators in our taps in the room. So it actually stemmed the flow of water. And instead of that huge gush, you actually have somebody else spoke about that as well. So some of them kind of accepted it. Some said, I need a little bit more pressure. But by and large, most of them, when they see the efforts that it's for the environment, then they kind of want to come on board and actually, participate. So if you ask me, that's one part of it. And the other way to best kind of push this forward will be also as an industry, right? We need to show them what we are already doing as an industry. And I think that's the biggest gap there, where they don't know what we are doing as industry. We spoke about it so much on this call, and I don't know how many of the guests that stay in all our hotels exactly know that this is what we are doing, whether it's elimination of single-use plastic, whether it's recycled water that we use, bio-waste composting, reducing the fossil fuels, biodiesel. All of our, many of our hotels are doing this. At least at IHCL, we are very, very strong and focused on doing this. And like Manus had said that they partner with Leeds, we partner with EarthCheck. It's a great sustainability certification, and they actually give you benchmarking data to say where you stand, not only among yourselves, internationally as well. And, even I'm extremely proud and happy to say many of our hotels have moved. Probably we started this off somewhere in 2008 and 9, from a bronze to a silver to a gold, and now a platinum. Almost 25 of, IHCL hotels are now platinum certified, EarthCheck hotels. And this doesn't happen overnight. This happens gradually to show a reduction in all those fossil fuels, in all those water, electricity power. You actually have to reduce those numbers. And it's nice to actually share some numbers, because you get the impact, right, when you actually share some numbers. So I'll just take another 30 seconds on this one. All across the IHCL hotels, this is just for a year, right? This is just a financial year. We recycled 9 lakh kiloliters of water, which is equivalent to about 360 standard Olympic size, swimming pools. 26 of the total water consumption, right, was recycled and reused. Almost 26 lakh KL was reused water, where we, got it from the STPs, where we have STPs in our hotels, we've reused water. Landfill composting, almost 1,400 tons of organic waste, which is equivalent to 40 standard 20 feet shipping containers, which was reduced. And reduction in the greenhouse gas emissions by adopting, obviously, like we all spoke, solar, renewable energy, etc., is like taking off roughly about 11,500 cars off the road, in 1 year's time. So my point is, we are doing so much of this, and yes, we communicate in various forums, but I think the key here is more our guests need to know what we are doing in our hotels. And at the moment they get to know that, I think they will definitely come on board. And putting a structure to this and implementing it, I think that's the easy part. We can put a structure. You can give guests loyalty points. You can give them value additions, like it could be food and beverage discounts. It could be late check-in, early checkout. There are so many things that can do to get them on board initially to create that stickiness. But I think the key here is to tell them what we are doing as a hotel, and for you to come on board. I think that would surely help them to actually move this forward when we do formulate a program like this. And this should be across the board. It would be a little tough, but yes, there are some companies that can take the lead in this. We can create these earth rooms where we have things which are very, very reduced in terms of all the power consumption, etc. So there are options that we can use, but yes, it's certainly a great idea to dwell upon, and definitely worth exploring.
So thanks, Ian. That was a very useful input. You know, I don't want to go away. There are a whole lot of questions which have come on the social media, a whole lot of them. But I want to bring in this one from Meghna Tawar. She says rainwater harvesting is generally ignored at hotels and pits are not maintained on a regular basis, right? Now that is, so I just want to do a dipstick over here. How many of you, we are 8 of us, minus me 7, how many of you are pushing rainwater harvesting?
Oh, very much so, very much so. Firstly, one about rainwater harvesting is that the run-through capture rate is an important one. And we have almost an 80% efficiency on that. So 80% of the water that falls in is captured, the rainwater is captured. And then you can't not keep it clean because that water is getting utilized back into the system. So there's no question of it being not maintained.
Yeah, but there are some assets we do not pay too much of attention, right? For them, it's just about a slogan, not a mantra. Yeah. So that's this has been a great session. I'm not only happy that I did this, it's my favorite subject, but I'm delighted I was able to do this with you. And to you, Ian, I think great moderation, brilliant moderation, and extremely well done. Thank you, everybody. Let me start with the ladies. Neha, thank you so much. My first show with you. Sunaina, our second one together. Is that right? Thank you for being here again, and see you all soon again. Rajesh, thank you for being there. Our first show together. Incidentally, my nephew and niece both got married at your hotel. Giri used to be the general manager then.
Oh, that's wonderful.
All right. Tarun, good to see you. Sandeep, Manus. Manus I've known for a bit. I look forward to seeing you in person. Ian, you're from the land where my wife was born, so is Sandeep. I'm scared of that, but no, I'm happy. It's a great city and a great region. I've had some wonderful time. And let me tell you, for the uninitiated, my home base is Chennai, right? So I have family there, all right? So I'm happy we shared screen together. Thank you for being there. Thank you for your time. And thank you for all your contributions. Let us take this ahead. This is a lifeline that we cannot let go. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.